Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Business of Joy. We are going to be talking about water bottles today with a very good friend, Chris Hoyle. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing great, Lisa. It's good to be with you.
Well, this is super fun. We met a few years ago and then we reconnected probably just a few months. And I know you came to
Yeah.
one of my webinars, so it was so fun just to get
Yeah.
back together
Well,
and talk.
you've got such great information. I was like, let's find out what Lisa's up to these days. And so it was awesome.
Yes, and you actually got a little bonus coming out of our webinar. Maybe if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about that. So, but
Yeah, we'd be happy to. I have used what you gave us in executive meetings just yesterday.
well, why don't we just jump
Yeah,
on
let's do it.
now, right? Because we had it. So, just to bring everybody up to speed. So, part of my webinar, I had these little surprises for people that attended. And so, Chris, a little gift surprise that he had was he put in a couple of questions in my survey that we just gave you the data back just a few weeks ago. So, tell
Yeah,
me.
it was awesome.
So, go ahead.
Well, I mean, so the questions had to do with like how many water bottles do you have as a family, and then what causes you to buy a new water bottle. And so it was awesome to talk through because we're making some decisions like, well, if the average family has this many water bottles, like what's the addressable market? How should we think about it? Okay, if most people are buying because they either lost it or it broke, like should we have marketing around, hey, did you just lose your water bottle again? Come to Simple Modern. And so, yeah, just very practical and just two questions, but like really impactful. So thank you.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. And I try to let everybody know that, if you're interested in putting questions in, it's definitely even two questions can shed so much light
Yeah,
on
for
opportunity.
sure.
So I'm
For
so
sure.
glad that you found that
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, good. Well, let's jump in because people know where I like to start the conversation, which is the first job that you had. And we talked about this. So this is an interesting one. So, what was your first job?
Yeah, so my first job, I worked in a welding shop for an oil field company. And so I am not a particularly handy person. And so it was like I had to try to find what are you going to do here? And so there was a lot of sweeping and cleaning up and just it made me be curious about, okay, what value can I bring if I don't know a whole lot about what we're doing? And then over time, learn how to, cut pipe and build cattle guards and do that kind of stuff. But certainly at 14, I was pretty worthless.
Well, it's so funny as we've talked about the grind of those first jobs, but
Yeah.
people that are going to be at this Gen Z webinar coming up, I have some really cool data about the power of the first job. So we'll, but
It
for,
certainly it certainly helped shape me. It certainly taught me like this isn't what I want to do forever. And it taught me that like there are people that maybe wouldn't love the business world, but are incredibly gifted. And so it really did teach me that the value of all people and all people's gifts, and that we're made differently, and that people just have different paths, and that's awesome.
and at 14 years old, that's pretty crazy. That is
Yeah.
pretty
Well,
crazy.
my dad, it wasn't all that voluntary of a job. He was like, "You're going to work, and this is what you're going to do." I'm like, "Okay, great." And I grew up in rural Oklahoma, so the oil field and kids working at that age was pretty common, and so it wasn't that unusual.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but that's still pretty young. But I also, you had talked about a fun, like early memories or somebody that laughed a lot, I think was
Yeah.
part of the
So
story.
yeah, one of my early managers or bosses, one thing I took, he was such a gifted like creator. He could build anything, which wasn't my gifting. But one thing I took away from him was he was a very generous laugher. Like he would just, there was just this joy that, and joy, obviously, what a great topic. But people loved working with him because A, he was super talented, and B, you just felt like you were special, and so I've always tried to be like cognizant of like, be a very generous laugher because people love being funny.
Oh my gosh, that is so brilliant because anytime, with the power of laughter, I mean, they obviously there's data on the fact
Uh,
that it can change your mood and lighten a mood and all those
mhm.
things, but I've never heard generous laughter. So I
It
think,
felt generous. Yeah, he just
yeah.
really went for it.
Yeah. Well, and I know, were there any kind of early role models for you? And
Yeah, I wasn't a big like long-term dreamer, but I played basketball, and so there was a point guard at Duke that was Bobby Hurley in the early '90s, and I was a small, not overly athletic point guard, and so I just thought, wow, he's playing at the highest levels, and it just encouraged me that like hard work. And I heard his story, and he worked really hard, and he practiced a ton. And I thought that's what it's going to take for somebody that's not got gifts that are amazing. And so that it really did help me, and has helped me the rest of my career of being like, you're just gonna have to work hard.
mm.
You haven't come from places of privilege, and so you just got to work hard, and that's how you're going to get where you want to get to.
Well, it's interesting is that you think of those early years at 14,
Right.
working for the oil company and the sweeping the floors and then cutting pipe and the hard work, right? The hard work
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
then from the sports. And so, yeah, it does. It just says you got to put in the effort, right? You got to put
Yep.
it in to get
For
to
sure.
where
Yeah.
you want to go. But
Absolutely.
let's go ahead and fast forward to like the simple modern because and I just realized I was thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even have you introduced. So we're going to do this a little late. But tell me about
Okay.
what your role is today at Simple Modern. Let's just do a
Yeah.
quick little thing there. And then I do
Yeah.
want to talk about kind of your journey because you have a more CPG background, which is fascinating.
I
So,
do. And so, yeah, so Simple Modern, I'm the CMO at Simple Modern. We are a kind of an on-the-go family brand. Our biggest category is drinkware. We also have kids' backpacks and other bags and things. And so, yeah, I started off in the company as a VP of sales, calling on mass retailers, and then I worked on HR and culture. And the last 4 years, I've been in charge of marketing, and so it's been a fun journey here as we've grown from startup to a pretty significant brand in the space.
well, and you kind of started, you have a lot of CPG background. So
I do.
before you even got to Simple Modern, share just a little bit of the insights of maybe some of the companies that you work for, and maybe some of those key lessons that kind of helped you get to where you are today.
Yeah, I started off in the CPG world doing data analytics for companies who were selling to Walmart and Sam's Club. And so it was brands like Buck Knives and Bear and Novartis and a number of big brands that we supported. And so I got to see a lot when I was first starting, which was awesome. And then knew that if I was going to like grow in that world, I needed to work for one of those big companies. So was able to get on at Cadbury. We got bought by Kraft, and then moved over to Ferrara Candy. And so a variety of jobs from analytics to sales, and then from like publicly held British company to publicly held American company. Ferrara was private equity. And so, yeah, I was able to see a lot of different things. And then whenever it was 9 years ago. So I'm like late 30s. And somebody I knew from college, Mike Beckham, who was the CEO of Sim Mars, like, we're starting this thing. We don't have anybody in the mass retail space. Can you like lead the charge? And I
But I
was
think,
like,
yeah,
let's do it.
I love the fact that that entrepreneurial spirit. So coming from those big, gigantic
Yeah.
CPG.
Billions of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, CPG to, having to come to an entrepreneurial startup that's got to be
Uh-huh.
scrappy, right? It's got to be
Right.
scrappy.
Right.
But I know
It,
that what I know about Simple Modern, and I know you guys are kind of based outside of Oklahoma City,
mhm.
is you guys have a very, very important kind of mission statement. And it is for those, we'll put the link in the comments here, but Simple Modern really is a powerful brand. So tell us a little bit about the purpose and the mission behind it
Yeah, the
all.
mission, this was one of the things that definitely drew me to the company because when I first graduated college, I was in the nonprofit space for a couple years and then got into the CPG world. But our mission is we exist to give generously. And so we give away 10% of profits to nonprofits. We've been able to give over $10 million away, and a lot of that in Oklahoma where it really makes a huge impact. And so it is such an encouragement every day that like as we're selling water bottles, it's not just so we can maybe get a bigger house, but it's so people in Africa can have clean water, and students in Oklahoma. Like we support a nonprofit that is helping homeless kids have an education, and so it brings purpose and meaning. And as you know, I'm sure in your research, it really is a helpful recruiting tool because younger people really do. And I think we all want to make a difference, but this
Right.
younger generation is like more explicitly like, I want to work someplace where it's making an impact. And it's true to who we are. It's not for marketing. It's like, in fact, if we were going to do it for marketing, we would pick like two or three or maybe even one nonprofit and say, this is it, and really talk about it. But it's like, we've kind of been shy about talking about because like we're not doing it for the
Right.
marketing of it. We're doing it because we want to make a difference. And
Well,
so,
and I know
yeah,
I was going
it's
to have
great.
this question at the end, but I feel like I'm craving to answer the talk about this now. But I mean, one of the things, because I love posting stories on LinkedIn, I always, really talk about like the moments from the front line and the stories
Mhm.
from the front line. And is there a story that from those nonprofit events that really stands out? And the world's so divided right now, but at the end of the day, we're all humans. And so the nonprofit work, you see that when you're doing all of that work. So are there any stories that really stand out?
I think, for me personally, a story that it's not necessarily a story, but just we get to volunteer at these places at times. And one time there was about six of us. We One of our partners is a homeless shelter, and we went and we brought Costco pizza and salad. And we just got to feed these folks
Mhm.
that are having a hard time, and we just got to sit down after we had them, and we just kind of had a meal together and talked with them. And just it was a great reminder that like any of us could be there. Like
Mhm.
it's just you don't know what got people, a bad decision here or there, or somebody wasn't a good impact on a person's life. And so I think those opportunities where we've had just to talk to the folks that are being served by these nonprofits, they really just shapes your mind, and lets you know that like this could be your brother, this could be your kid.
Yeah.
And so like what we're doing makes a difference in people's lives. And in the same way, just something going in the right way can get you off that track. And so, and we've heard lots of stories of people coming out of trafficking from organizations we've worked with, and there's lots of stories that are just
Yeah, well, and
really
it goes back to
encouraging.
the humanity of it all, right? Is that at
Yeah,
the end of the day, we're more alike than we are different. And even
totally,
just the simplicity, you were saying, like the Costco's pizza or whatever. Isn't it interesting? It's just the power of food bringing
totally,
people together.
totally.
And I do a lot in the restaurant space, but it does.
Hmm.
It just speaks to if we could just sit around a table and talk,
Yep. Yep.
that would actually bring a lot to a lot of joy to people that need it.
You're
But
right.
we'll staying on kind of the simple modern, and I know, I mean, gosh, you could probably not be in a more competitive landscape when
It's
you
been
think about
tough.
yeah, and you have a big, behemoth competitor that decided to wake up, you
Yeah,
know, and a brand that was kind of stale, really reinvigorated, but that probably all
totally.
waters rise, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But how do you build that loyalty in the brand in a highly competitive space?
It's a great question, and it is certainly a challenge. We've got great competitors from, like you said, like Stanley is who you were referring to, and Yeti and other brands. And so I think for us, I think what we try to preach around here is like live the values and be consistent. And over time, people are going to like have a great product at a great price. And then every interaction that a customer has with the brand, whether it be CX or in our marketing or our social media, there's a friendliness to it. There is a family, friendliness to it. And over time, people have caught on to the idea that like we are giving away, our money, and that together we are fighting. And we have inserts in our bottles that say, together we're fighting homelessness, or we're
Mm.
bringing, we're supporting education together, so that people know that we're doing this and we're doing it together. And so I think consistency, if it had to be one word, like how do we build loyalty? Because we've tried loyalty programs, we've done different things, marketing wise, but I think we've been able to create a community that loves us because great products, great price, on trend, and then with a brand that they feel like proud to be a part of.
I think that's, I just got goosebumps when you said that because, it's hard in a CPG world, especially when you would think a water bottle would be, once you have one, that's all you need. But
Yeah.
the data that we did together clearly
Right.
says no, there's a group of people that it's kind of indefinite, there's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's like shoes. Yeah, they need a different color to match, a different outfit and what they're doing in use cases. But yeah,
Oh my
it
God, that
definitely
is
has.
such a great analogy. Do you guys use that already? That
We
is
do.
like,
Yeah, our CEO has talked about that for a while. That was kind of an insight that we had about a decade ago. It was like we went deep in color a little earlier than some other brands because we saw that was what, particularly a female customer is looking for, is variety and color.
oh my God, that is a brilliant analogy to say yes. I guess the other one would be a handbag because like
Yeah, or bag. Yep.
yeah, I happen to be a handbag person. I'm not a shoe
Okay.
person. I have a lot of handbags in a lot of colors, but I have it,
Uh-huh.
shoes, not so much.
Yeah.
But
Not a shoe person.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Me
not a shoe.
neither.
But the bags is that's a brilliant example. But
Yeah.
I think that's so funny. The other thing the research, from the business of joy standpoint, what I always talk about is that, businesses that talk about I have to drive sales, I have to drive
Hmm.
units,
Hmm.
that's an outcome. And if you
Uh-huh.
really focus on, brand engagement, brand love,
Uh-huh.
connection with consumers,
Hmm.
the results will come. But if you
Yes.
if you transact, then that's when you're in a share war and you're replaceable, right?
Right. Yeah, and we're really in it for the long haul. We're privately held. We're not looking to sell. I mean, I would love for my kids to eventually be able to work here if possible. And yeah, we just want to be, well, it's like we agree with you. The sales will come. Like treat people well, give them a great product at a fair price, and we're going to have business.
Yeah, that's what loyalty is. Loyalty
Yeah.
is not a program.
Right.
Loyalty is not like just a program. But
Right.
I know you guys have been really into innovation as part of it, like you were mentioning the colors and even the forms and things
Uh-huh.
like that. But what was the biggest surprise recently from an innovation standpoint that you're like, whoa, we never could have imagined that that was going to be so
Well,
big?
I think this probably everybody in America could say this, but just the 40-ounce tumbler with handle craze was, I mean, we didn't see that coming. Stanley, was the kind of led in it, and we were really early follower there when we saw that trend, and we came out with a product that was very competitive, and we had some different colors from what they were doing, and our product was a little more leak proof. And so we really had 2 years ago a phenomenal year just on that trend, and it didn't. I didn't necessarily see that coming. That particularly women would want 40 ounces of water that wasn't leak proof, that had a straw. I mean, it didn't necessarily make sense, but sometimes trends don't make sense.
No, exactly. But maybe, who knows? Maybe it's just it saves from having to keep refilling it, right? So that's
Totally. I mean, in hindsight, it's like there's a lot of reasons why people loved it. They liked the handle because it was easy to carry, and but And then once it became kind of a social contagion online, where it was like, okay, I got to have this, you know.
Well, and then there were so many promotional things that came with that. But, it is funny that even I always, when I was at Frito-Lay, we actually would look at even just strange trends, like what's going on in the world of cars. And
Uh-huh.
so we noticed that, the cup holders were getting bigger
Uh-huh.
in cars.
Uh-huh.
And so, and this was years and years and years ago, but we actually had the very first like snacks in a can that would fit in your cup holder.
That's
So it was
a
basically
great
A
innovation.
Pepsi can
Yeah.
with Cheetos in it. So it wasn't a Pringle size can, but it was a
Uh-huh.
small can, and it was designed to fit in your cup holder. So, and then you'd hear the little freshness pop or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, at first people were like, "Oh, I'll take it camping," and then that's the kiss of death at the Frito-Lay world. If they say, "Oh, the use occasions camping trips," you're like, "Oh, crap."
That's pretty narrow.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work. But it ended up, 20 years later, they have lots of those types of packages. But
Yeah,
the fact that the cup holders now needed to have the handle, be able to accommodate
totally.
the handle.
Yeah, easy to pull out, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the car industry impacts your business.
Yeah, and you can get that much water, and then with a handle, you don't have to have your hand around the barrel of the tumbler, which can be challenging if you have smaller hands. So
Yeah.
the handle made sense, like in hindsight, but we weren't moving in that direction until we saw the trend that like
Yeah, but
this is
being a
what
fast
people.
follower, can be Frito-Lay sells billions of dollars of chips being a fast follower.
Uh,
So,
yeah,
but I know what was funny when we were talking earlier, you're like, I've been in the marketing world for about 4 years, you
yeah.
mentioned, and that you started in data analytics. I'm like, music
Hmm.
to my ears. And so because I love people, obviously marketers that really understand data and the
Uh,
consumer is, music to my ears because, I wish more would. But when I always think about there's certain things that are maybe in marketing, women analytics, that things that are maybe overvalued and people rely
uh,
too much on
yeah,
versus, those measures that really people don't value enough.
right.
And, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think for us, for years, ROAS, ROI, on our like digital media spend was everything. I mean, it was just and there wasn't a lot of thought put into, okay, how do we not just grow the bottom of the funnel, but how do you grow awareness? How do you grow interest, consideration? And so we've more recently have not focused. So I mean, we still could, obviously are spending a lot of time thinking about, is our marketing driving sales, but also is it driving engagement? Like how's our engagement numbers? We're checking mentions more than we used to. We're now using tools to do that. And so we've made, which I'm very thankful, because I'm really wanting us to build a brand and not just a sales factory. And so looking more at things like Google Trends, like what
Mm.
are our awareness numbers, some of those things to see, like, are we relevant? Are people paying attention to us? And not
Yeah.
just, are they buying the thing?
Well, it's interesting. A friend of mine recently, and it's Bob Dalton. His company is called Sackcloth and Ashes. They do blankets.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautifully designed. But for every blanket sold, they give one to the homeless. So
Okay.
that is their thing. But
That's
he
great.
also just started a new social media called Local, like LOCL. And
Okay.
he had a thought that said, now, there's two types of people that use the word user, and it's technology and drug companies say user. But the
Mm.
reason I bring it up is that marketing metrics have become dehumanized in a way
Mhm.
because
In
instead
many
of
ways,
saying,
yes.
yeah. So I was just thinking because we have engagement, we have users, we have
Uh,
clicks, we have
uh,
ROAS. And so
yeah.
if you had to think about how would you put in just the words, like instead of engagement, we're actually connecting with people.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like how do you get people to just be interested and have a even relationship? I think you
Mm.
could say, do we have a relationship with these people where we're providing what they're looking for? Well, and like something like TikTok, it's like, how do we just entertain? Like, how do we
Yeah.
just make it like bring a little joy in somebody's life? Because our team has done a great job of doing some behind the scenes sorts of things and funny videos that like just help customers know this is a real company. They're really having a good time because we do want to have a relationship, and we do a lot of surveys internally with our customers to understand what do you need, what are you looking for, how are we missing the mark, all those kinds of things, because we do want to have we're not looking to manipulate them into doing something. It's like we just want to understand how can we help support your life, and we
Yeah.
want to do that.
Well, and so my mission after, like, I couldn't stop thinking about that because, it's like users of the brand or,
Hmm.
and I'm like, wow, that is just such a crazy thing, right? Instead of
Right,
consumers or people or
right,
guests or customers.
right.
And so I'm on a mission here. So
Okay.
I'm putting the stake in the ground
Okay,
for
I'm not going to talk about users ever with our brand. It's all customers,
yeah,
or
we
maybe we'll
really
call them
need.
friends.
Yeah, maybe they are, they're friends, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think it's dehumanizing just our culture when
Uh-huh.
you think about how we like the business has become so transactional, and then we wonder why businesses aren't doing well. Well,
Uh-huh.
every way we talk about them is, and you even think about, we don't ask questions anymore. We have to say prompt, like,
Uh-huh.
you know, and now we have prompt engineers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what I do for a living is I ask questions. So do I
Right.
call myself a prompt researcher because I ask questions? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Um,
Isn't that crazy though when you
it
think about
is. It really is.
so next time you're using, engagement, what is really, if we weren't in this world of digital marketing, what would you call it? And it would be a relationship. You're building a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Um, you're drawing people in, you're inviting people in, right?
Hmm.
Doesn't that sound better than
It does.
engagement?
It does. It
Yes.
does. I do. I definitely think the fascination with selling a company and the finances of it, and like we got to get to a certain number and then we're gonna sell it and make a lot of money is driving so much of that. Because like they're not looking for a relationship. A lot of times it's more like just we're just trying to grow sales and profit in a way that leads to a sale.
Right. And that's where I think that the difference between running your business is different than
Hmm.
building a brand.
Totally.
Because, and that's why I was so attracted to Simple Modern, just because it really is, it's a lifestyle brand that actually has a pulse, a heartbeat.
Hmm.
And,
I
yes,
love that.
you're selling a product, but at the end of the day, it's a, it's a, an organization or what am I trying to say? Like something like a living, breathing creature that you're trying to create here. Just
Yeah.
a, it's not just a thing.
Yeah. Well, we hope that we're building something great for our customers. And then also, like I'm from rural Oklahoma. So like I'm passionate about, like, I want to help create a business that like hopefully hundreds of people can find a living here and like work in
Mm.
Oklahoma City and do great work and feel like they're building something they can be really proud of. And so
Yeah.
that's a huge part of what we're trying to do too.
I love that. I love that. Well, I wanted to actually just ask about kind of on that front, when you think about like great leadership, and what it means to you as a leader, because being a CMO, but then, maybe some of the things that inspired you along the way.
Yeah, I think for me personally, having leaders that believed in me, challenged me, saw what I could do, maybe when I didn't understand like what was possible, like was really, really helpful. Those I was so lucky to have men that just yeah, poured into me in a way that I didn't necessarily deserve. I was really lucky to have people that weren't transactional leaders, like they
Mm,
really were relational leaders, and they were really excellent at what they did. And so I could. There's just I think back on my career, and I think I feel very blessed to be where I'm at a great company in a role that's great, but like every single step of the way. I never had a bad boss. I had people
mm,
that like really cared about me and wanted to see me, thrive. And so that's the sort of leader I've tried to be, that encourages people, that hopefully gives them a dream of where they can go because they haven't been. And so it's like this is possible. I think great leadership also just understands that everything that happens outside of work impacts work. So you
Yeah.
better care about the folks that you're working with outside of work and what challenges they have because that's going to impact the work. And so, yeah, so I've been really, really blessed with great leaders and hoping to be the same sort of like leader that gives support and challenge to
Well, and I
people.
think it's it's just that what went through my mind is that my mom and dad both, it's like, that simple phrase of assume positive intent.
Uh-huh.
And so even just those ideas where if, somebody maybe missed a deadline or just maybe isn't doing what's their best work, it's like
Hmm.
assuming positive intent, which is they're not just blowing it off. Maybe something really is going on in their lives outside of
Right.
work. And maybe, they are struggling with something that's impacting their work. And
Uh-huh.
so nowadays, I think there's so much labeling going on. Oh, they're
Yeah.
lazy, or they just don't want to be here, or they don't have a good
Yeah.
work ethic, versus
Yeah.
like really walking a day in their shoes. Maybe they just are having a bad run.
Totally. And another thing with that, like if you're not seeing the performance you want, like Jocko Willink talks about this in Extreme Ownership, but he says, everything you as a leader, you're responsible for everything. So if that person didn't perform, have you trained them and given them the tools to do the work? And so, yes, maybe the analysis wasn't exactly what you wanted, but did you train them and teach them that like this is how we should look at this? And so that's been a good challenge for me over the years too, is like, hey, it's not what you would have done, but like, did you set the expectation? To have you train these people to do those sorts of things? And then if you have, then the question is, okay, what happened? But
Well, maybe they're in the wrong seat in the bus too,
could
right?
be that,
If,
could be that for sure too.
I think there's this evolution of thinking about, leaning into people's strengths, right? So
Hmm.
instead of, yes, I mean, having those learning different things and skills can help you do better in a certain specialty. But
Yep.
sometimes, like what is it, the square peg in the round hole just doesn't work.
Yep.
So maybe they just
Yep.
need to be in a different place. And
Totally.
there was even in my background, when I was at one company, there was a gentleman that was on a brand team and then a gentleman that was on an innovation team in my group, and we actually ended up switching them because the person in the brand team actually did great in innovation, and the
Uh-huh.
person on innovation really did great in the brand
Like
world.
the brain
And
stuff.
so they were maybe just not in the best seat for their own personal growth. So
Well, I
we
love that the organization was willing to do that
yeah,
and
yeah.
not get rid of both of them.
Yeah, and not giving up on them
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they both, so it was a great solve for everybody. So
That's great.
it's seeing the opportunities. But I also say you got to push people though, like get people out of their comfort zone,
Uh-huh.
and just let them make a mistake. Let them try
Totally.
something. So
Yep.
I think that those are important. But are there things at Simple Modern just from a value standpoint? I mean, I know we've kind of covered some of them, but is there anything that really stands out about the culture there that just really makes it something special?
I think the thing that stands out is the generosity, and I
Mm.
know that I've been saying that, but like there's a generosity among the team with your time. Like if you ever need help, like somebody is willing to drop what they're doing to help you if they possibly can. And so I just think there's a generosity of time, of talent, of credit. I think that's one thing that people and a lot of people are. This is their first job. Like we hire kind of straight out, and so. But if we hire somebody that has come from somewhere else, they're usually like pretty amazed at how much credit is like given to other people. It's like, hey, we had this great outcome, and it would not have happened without. And then just this list of people, and so I think that it's something that I hope we never lose is this
Mm.
idea of just of generous positivity towards each other.
No, that is so incredible because in today's world, it can be so competitive, unfortunately, sometimes. And if the leaders are kind of modeling that generosity and the
Hmm.
fact that we are all in it together,
Hmm.
and, as I said, obviously sometimes things don't go, they go off script,
Totally.
but then you just pick it up and move on, and then you really celebrate when things are going well. So I think that's
Yep.
great. And yeah, it is a lot easier when you're an entrepreneurial startup for sure.
Yep.
So hopefully that'll just stay with it. But when you think about what makes you the most excited about what's going on for the future for Simple Modern?
Yeah, I think I mean we're celebrating 10 years of existence in about a month. And so
Congratulations, a round of applause
yeah, that
there.
we're very excited because we don't take that for granted that we're here. But as we look to the future, I think there's so much. I mean, for me, I'm the marketing guy, but like all the brand work that we can do, all the storytelling that we can do. For years it was just like we're just trying to keep up with the pace of growth, and it was hard to really tell a consistent story year after year because just things were evolving so quickly. But I think now the growth is not as rapid, and we're going to be able to just tell a lot of great brand stories. We're going to be able to spend time showcasing customers and generosity, and I just think that there's so much more that we can do around brand
Mhm.
that I'm really excited for. The team's really ready for it and excited about it. I think leadership, we all understand that like you're going to win on brand. Like
Mhm.
people, the products are going to be different marginally, but like so it's you're going to because it's so
But
competitive with
that's,
so many
yeah,
different brands that you want to be the brand that's like if there's a tie. I'm going to pick Simple Modern because I just love what they're doing. And so that I'm excited about what we're going to do with brand.
that is so cool, Chris, because I hadn't thought about because it is kind of the epitome of Coke and Pepsi in a way, right? Because at the end of the day, there are products and features, and yes, there's a race
Sure,
to come up with the
totally.
products and features and innovation and all that. But at the end of the day, people are identifying with the brand.
Hmm.
And as a CMO, that's like
Yeah,
super cool, right?
yeah. I'm really excited about where we're heading in that direction.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, my kind of fun thing, because I always like just it's fun to get to know people. I have what I call this lightning round. And so these are just little short questions, right?
Let's
So
do
are you
it.
ready? Ready?
Yep.
Okay. So is there a book you're reading right now?
Is there a book I'm reading right now? I am listening to the story of Apple in China,
Oh,
which is a fascinating look at the relationship between how Apple grew because of Chinese labor and their expertise, and then how China grew because of all that Apple did. It is a fascinating book.
that's awesome. Well, and I think I need to re-answer or re-ask that question. Read or listening to?
Yeah. Well,
Because
I just have more time. I mean, I have more time in the car with three kids and chasing them. It's harder to read in the evenings, but that's been a good one.
no, that's good. But I'm gonna change that. Reading or listening to? Okay. Favorite concert of all time?
For my 40th birthday, I went to the Avett Brothers at Red Rocks
Oh
over 4th
man.
of July. So that was just amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. And then any childhood pets?
Yes, we had dogs growing up, and so um, I grew up on a ranch too, so we had all kinds of cows and stuff. But I don't know that any of those would have been pets.
Because it could be, are you a dog or cat person? So probably it sounds like more dogs.
Yeah, more dog for sure. Yeah,
That's great. And then my last kind of question, it's kind of a two-part question. One is when things are kind of not going great, what grounds you? And then how do you want to be remembered? So I would love to kind of wrap on those two.
yeah. I think my faith grounds me. I don't find all of my value and self-worth in my work. It is something that I do to hopefully help those that I work with and our customers. But really, I'm grounded in the idea that like that I'm loved unconditionally, regardless of what I do. And so I think unconditional love is probably the most powerful force
Mm.
in the universe. And so that really grounds me. And then the second part was
What would you
what
like your legacy? How do you
oh,
want to
what
be
would my legacy?
remembered?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think I would love my legacy to be he was a leader that was for me. I would love it if people when I and we're all going to be done with our current jobs at some point. I would love it when I leave for anybody that worked with me to be like he was for me. He helped me. And I would love it. I would love to hear people say, I can't imagine my career without his impact. So that I
Yeah.
would love for that to be my legacy.
Well, and this is why I know we haven't known each other very long, but those two answers is probably why I just like so immediately gravitated because it's like unconditional love and just caring for people. I mean, that is what brings me joy each and every day for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
So, well, Chris, thank you so much. I can't wait to continue our conversations, and I wish you all the best at Simple Modern. Amazing brand. For those of you that haven't checked it out, I'll put the link in the comments, but it's a great brand, and it's more than just a product for sure.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and I appreciate your message of joy. We definitely need it in the world. So thank you for what you're doing.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. We'll see
All right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.